Well, you guys have asked for so long for a Halo Wars leader power tier list of some sort. I'm finally gonna make it. You know what? Enough. Enough. Fine, I'll do it. I'm gonna actually make two videos regarding the Halo Wars leader power tier list. It's a mouthful to say. Doing one for UNSC and one for the Banished, so check out either the card on the video or in the description for the Banished one. This one, we're going to focus on the UNSC, the top 10 leader powers for the UNSC in Halo Wars 2. This is a completely subjective list. This is just my personal opinion, going off my playstyle, which I normally play casually in teams. So your opinion may vary. I'd love to know your ranks of all these leader powers in the comments down below. And then lastly, this is only offensive leader powers, so I'm not going to include things such as passive ones like maybe Johnson's line of sight upgrade, or even the Sentinels that spawn from Kodiaks, so on and so forth. These are leader powers you have to drop offensively that will cause some sort of damage or dynamic change in the battlefield. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. Number 10, I have Johnson's Bunker. Now, I know Johnson's Bunker isn't really technically an offensive power, can't damage any units when it falls out of the sky. I actually think early on, I don't know if you know this, but when Johnson actually launched as a leader, the bunker did consume population. So it was like really useless early on. Like no one went bunker as Johnson. I think at the beginning it was 3 pop, and then when you upgraded it to get the shield, it was 4 pop. I really don't understand why they did that. They made the bunker consume population as Johnson. What I love about Johnson's bunker is how dynamically it works so well with Pavium on the Banished side. It is a strat that I love to do. There's so many videos on the channel of us doing Pavium in a bunker. Nonetheless, it's great to put snipers in the bunker, even just Marines in the bunker, something to keep your units more protected. I think it's pretty awesome. You could arguably say that the Mastodon is a bunker that is more mobile, but that does consume pop, and yes, I know the Mastodon does have a little bit of offensive damage. Nonetheless, I like the bunker a lot, and that's why I put it as number 10. Number 9 is Grizzly Battalion. I get it. I think there's a good argument that Grizzlies are not as good as Scorpions, especially with something like Isabel Scorpions with the shield that you can get. Grizzlies consume a lot more population than Scorpions. The list kind of goes on, but dropping Grizzly Battalion, getting 3 veteran Grizzlies, you have the protection of the Pelicans when they drop, and there's been a few times where the gunship actually glitches out and stays. There was a game a great game on the channel where I dropped Grizzly Battalion like in front of my base, and the gunship remained at my base for the rest of the game. And you can't target the gunship. It's not a killable unit. So I had like a permanent gunship in front of my base, and it was awesome. So anyway, Grizzly Battalion's great. I always find it hilarious that the best counter to this is a Megateam. Like if I see someone drop Grizzly Battalion, I'm playing as Jerome, and I have the pop and resources for a Megateam. I'll just drop a Megateam and then hijack all 3 of those Grizzlies, and now I have 3 Vet 2 Grizzlies with Spartans in them, which is awesome. Number 8 is the Sentinel Network from Anders. I think this is a great leader power, not only because it causes a distraction with the units, getting some aggro from your opponent's units, but it provides such a great line of sight across the whole map. If you do it on a map like Vault or, even something like Badlands or Sentry, gives you great vision across the majority of the map to see what your opponents are doing, who controls the bases, if they're in any covers where their units are moving to. The Sentinel Network is just great as Professor Anders. Number 7 is a little bit of a stretch. I've combined 2 leader powers because I think when you combine the 2, they're a lot better than one individually, and that's Serena's Cryo and Seismic Blast. There are too many times I see players, and you see it in videos all the time, where players playing as Serena drop the Seismic without the Cryo. That's so painful to see, but if you're able to combine the cryo first, then the seismic, you can really mess up some units, especially once they're upgraded. You get multiple shots of each with a single use of the leader power. It is simply amazing. Number 6 is Canos Inferno. This leader power used to be better, I think, in, patches ago, which, we're talking years and years ago now, but I remember it like really decimated ground units, like just absolutely annihilated them. And nowadays, I feel like it's not really worth putting on units anymore, like dropping it on units. I guess maybe if there's a lot of infantry, I can kind of see that. But where it works best is bases, especially UNSC bases. Banished bases, it still works out great. Just make sure you take down the shield first. And what it does is it really starts to help with you destroying individual buildings on the base, especially generators and expensive things like, maybe they have something training out of a war council. Maybe they're building a scarab or something. If you can destroy that war council before the scarab's built, of course, they got to re-queue up that unit and rebuild the building. So it works out great when you're pushing a base, dropping the Inferno. Number 5 is Forge's Scatter Bomb. A lot of people in the community call this the lag bomb, just because it is so hard to get out of once the bombs start falling from this leader power. It's kind of hard to dodge in some ways. I feel like its wind-up time is pretty quick compared to other leader powers. It really is a good overall leader power. Works great on both air and ground. Even sometimes bases, it can be effective. You really cannot go wrong with Forge's Scatter Bomb. All around, great power. Absolutely love it. Number 4, kind of in the same vein as the Scatter Bomb, is Jerome's EnduringSalvo. This is a leader power that drops the falling garbage from the sky, and this is just incredibly powerful of a leader power. I mean, I feel like you can lose your whole army with the EnduringSalvo. And part of me feels like that its regeneration time, the time it takes for that leader power to cool down and you can use it again, is pretty quick. But the EnduringSalvo, I think, is probably the best drop of that's not an ultimate power. Probably is the best way to classify it. So if you were to compare something like the EMP Mac Blast, your regular Mac Blast, I think they're all inferior to the EnduringSalvo. It's just an awesome leader power to use. And overall, Jerome's leader wheel is pretty great. So adding this on top with some of other Jerome's leader powers is why Jerome is such a fun leader to play as UNSC. Getting into the top 3 now, you're kind of going to see a theme. These are all ultimate powers, but, well, maybe actually not one of them. I kind of lied on that. But anyway, number 3 is a Megateam as Jerome. Like I was saying earlier, it's a great counter to the Grizzly Battalion. If I see someone dropping Grizzly Battalion, it's the perfect counter to that. Having the ability to have Jerome in total have 4 heroes plus his commander Jerome with the Mantis, and then 3 additional Spartans. I mean, that really is a force to be reckoned with. I get that, each Spartan consumes an additional 10 pop, so you need to have 30 pop to drop a Megateam, but it inspires your units just like how Jerome does. They work great as, taking command of vehicles, such as the Mastodon or hijacking opponents' vehicles. I mean, again, if you think about it, hijacking something maybe like 3 Vultures or 3 Wraiths, whatever the case is, these 3 Spartans plus Commander Jerome are awesome. So a Megateam, one of my favorite leader powers in Halo Wars 2. Number 2 leader power for the UNSC is Combat Salvage. Combat Salvage is just insane on how good it is when you use it correctly. I think some of the best ways to use Combat Salvage, and I know it's not technically an offensive leader power, however, what it affects is offensive units, so maybe I'm bending my own rules here, allowing an exception to the rule, but I think it works out best with Combat Salvage Vultures. The meta in Halo Wars 2 really leans into, unfortunately, mass vultures or cringe air as the game kind of progresses. There's really not much you can do with, facing a full pop of vultures, let alone facing it twice in such a short period of time. If unprotected your base, or if you haven't gone mass counter air, combat salvage vultures is really, really hard to stop. And combat salvage works great even without vultures. I mean, going something like scorpions or mass hornets, any sort of vehicle, even mantises and Goliaths. I'm sorry, not Goliath, Colossus. Geez, so many names for giant characters. Mantis and Colossus using combat salvage is a great leader power combo as well. So, I mean, it's just overall really, really strong, and it's hard to face against those UNSC leaders that have combat salvage. Okay, number 1, most powerful UNSC leader power in the game, I think, is Ghost in the Machine from Isabel. Again, when used correctly, Ghost in the Machine is a complete game changer. There are many, many videos on the channel where we were losing and a Ghost in the Machine leader power solidified a win. If you can use this on, say, vultures or even ultimate units like a Scarab and Condor, it really is just awesome. Not only, again, are you reducing the amount of opposing units attacking you at the point in which you use combat salvage, but now you can aggro your opponent's units onto their own units that you are temporarily controlling. It is just so great to use when you're in a pinch or you're losing your units. You just got to make sure that you're using it effectively and getting as many vehicles as possible. My favorite thing to do, and sometimes it doesn't work correctly, but it is possible to hold position the units that you control, like on the other side of the map. And when your opponent regains control, sometimes that hold position command will follow through when they regain control. And if they're not paying attention, they have to manually, select that unit and remove it so they can regain full movement control of that unit, which is a hilarious troll move. It works out great. You can just control some units, destroy their base if you have the time, and then tell them to go hold position somewhere else. Ghost Machine is really, really great. And it's the best UNSC leader power, in my opinion, in Halo Wars 2. Okay, that's my tier list leader power ranking for UNSC powers in Halo Wars 2. Let me know what I got wrong in the comments down below. I look forward to the, quote, high-level players who have nothing better to do to tear apart my videos. So I look forward to reading those comments. And check out the Banished top 10 leader power video coming very soon. Again, I'll post links to that for you to check out. And if this is your first time on the channel, well, for some strange reason, we are still covering Halo Wars 2 over 7 years since its release. So check the channel out for more Halo Wars 2 videos. All right, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. And I'll see you, James.